The air in the courtroom stung with the sterile bite of antiseptic and polished wood. But it was her voice that cut deepest. "He's nothing," Sarah spat, her words slicing through the murmur of the gallery. "A broke, useless man who dragged me down for years." Her hazel eyes, once warm as autumn leaves, now glinted with venom, pinning me to the defendant's chair like a bug under glass. I gripped the edge of the table, my knuckles whitening, as her accusation echoed in my skull. The room tilted, faces blurring, my lawyer, the judge, the onlookers, until all I could see was her, my wife of 12 years, rewriting our life into a lie. I wanted to scream, to leap across the room and demand why. Why she'd turned our shared history, nights of whispered dreams, mornings tangled in sheets, the quiet laughter over burnt toast, into this public execution. But my throat locked, words choking behind the lump of betrayal. The judge's gavel cracked, finalizing the divorce, and I sat frozen, her words branding me. Broke, useless. They clung like damp rot, seeping into my bones as I stumbled out into the gray drizzle of the city. The apartment I returned to was a hollow shell, stripped of her presence. Her perfume lingered faintly on the couch, a ghost of jasmine that twisted my gut. I sank to the floor, the carpet rough against my palms, and replayed every moment of our marriage, searching for the crack where it all broke. Was it the late nights I spent at the office, grinding to build our future? The arguments over money, her size growing sharper each month? Or something darker, something I'd missed, a shadow in her smile, a glance too long at someone else? My mind churned, doubt and denial wrestling for control. I loved her. I still loved her. And that was the worst part. Days bled into weeks, and the world outside seemed to hum with her narrative. Friends stopped calling. Colleagues whispered. "Poor Sarah," they'd say, stuck with that dead weight. I overheard it at the coffee shop, the gym, the grocery store. Her story had spread like wildfire, painting me as the failure who'd ruined her. I withdrew, my apartment becoming a fortress of silence. The hum of the fridge my only companion. But even in solitude, her betrayal gnawed. Not just the divorce, not just her words, but the nagging sense that I'd missed something vital. A truth buried beneath her accusations. I started noticing the signs I'd ignored. The way she'd linger on her phone, her thumb flicking through messages, she'd tilt away from me. The sudden girls' nights, that stretched past midnight, her laughter too bright when she returned. The way her eyes would dart to the door when I asked about her day, as if she were waiting for an escape. I'd rationalized it all, stress, exhaustion, my own insecurities. But now alone, those moments glowed like embers, hinting at a fire I hadn't seen. One night, sifting through old emails for a tax document, I found it. A message she hadn't deleted, buried in a folder labeled work. "Meet me at the usual spot. Don't tell him." No name, no context, just a timestamp from last year, when she'd started pulling away. My pulse hammered, the screen's glow burning my eyes. I wanted to believe it was innocent, a friend, a colleague, but my gut screamed otherwise. I scoured her digital footprints, passwords I still knew, unlocking fragments of her life. Hotel receipts, late-night texts, a photo of her laughing with a man I didn't recognize, his hand grazing her waist. Each discovery was a blade, carving deeper into the trust I'd clung to. I didn't confront her. Not then. Rage simmered, but so did doubt. What if I was wrong? What if I was the paranoid one, twisting innocent moments into betrayal? I needed proof, something undeniable. So I watched, waited, and let the suspicion fester. I tracked her social media, her posts dripping with newfound freedom. Pictures of her at rooftop bars, her smile radiant, her captions vague but pointed. Finally living my truth. The comments poured in, praising her strength, her glow. I was the villain in her story, and the world applauded. Months passed and I rebuilt. A new job, a small startup I poured my soul into, became my lifeline. Coding late into the night, I found solace in lines of logic that didn't lie. The company grew, slowly at first, then explosively. Investors called. Contracts piled up. By the time I bought the mansion, a sprawling glass and stone estate overlooking the coast, I barely recognized myself. The man Sarah had called useless was gone, replaced by someone harder, sharper. But the wound she'd left still bled, especially at night. when the ocean's roar echoed her voice. Then she showed up. It was a crisp autumn evening, the kind where the air smells of salt and possibility. I was hosting a small gathering, investors, colleagues, a few friends who'd stuck by me. The doorbell chimed, and there she was, standing on my porch, her hair catching the golden light of the chandelier behind me. Sarah. Her eyes widened as she took in the house, the cars lining the drive, the laughter spilling from inside. James, she said, her voice soft, almost pleading. Can we talk? My heart lurched, a traitor to my resolve. She looked the same yet different, her confidence tempered by something I couldn't name. Regret? Desperation? I wanted to slam the door, to spit her own words back at her. But curiosity, that old weakness, pulled me in. I stepped aside, letting her into the life I'd built without her. The stage was set, and the past was about to unravel. Sarah's heels clicked on the marble floor, each step echoing like a countdown. The house buzzed with chatter, clinking glasses, and the faint hum of jazz from hidden speakers, but her presence silenced it all for me. She stood in the foyer, her coat draped over one arm, her gaze flickering between the soaring ceilings and my face. You've done well, she said, her voice a mix of awe and something sharper. Envy maybe. I didn't respond, just led her to the study, away from prying eyes. The door clicked shut, and the air thickened with unspoken history. James, she began, but I cut her off. Why are you here? My tone was colder than I intended, but I didn't care. The room smelled of leather and cedar, grounding me as I faced her. Her lips parted, then closed, her fingers twisting the strap of her purse. For a moment, she was the Sarah I'd loved, vulnerable, searching. But I wasn't that man anymore. I made a mistake, she said finally, her eyes locking onto mine. I shouldn't have said those things. In court. About you. Her voice cracked, and I hated how it stirred me, how it tugged at the part of me that still remembered her warmth. I was angry, hurt. I didn't mean it. I leaned against the desk, arms crossed, studying her. The words sounded sincere, but they were too neat, too practiced. You didn't just say them, Sarah. You made sure everyone believed them. My friends. My family. Strangers. My voice stayed steady, but inside, anger coiled tighter. You painted me as a failure. Why? She flinched, her gaze dropping to the floor. I was drowning, James. You were always working, always chasing the next big thing. I felt invisible. Her words carried a familiar sting, the same complaints she'd hurled during our fights. But now they felt like a script, a deflection. I thought of the emails, the photo, the man's hand on her waist. Was it just me? I asked, my voice low, dangerous. Or was there someone else? The question hung between us, heavy as a storm cloud. Her eyes widened, just for a second, but it was enough. A crack in her facade, a flicker of guilt. My pulse quickened, the room shrinking to the space between us. James, don't, she whispered, stepping closer. Her perfume hit me, jasmine and betrayal, and I fought the urge to step back. It's not what you think. Then tell me what it is. My voice rose, sharp enough to cut through her excuses. Because I saw the emails, the receipts, the pictures. Her face paled, and for the first time, I saw fear in her eyes. Not regret, fear. Of what? Being caught? Losing something? She sank into a chair, her hands trembling. It was a mistake, she said again, but this time it sounded hollow, like a line she'd rehearsed but no longer believed. His name was Mark. A colleague. It didn't mean anything. Her voice broke, tears welling, but I felt no sympathy. Only a cold clarity, the pieces snapping into place. How long? I asked, my fists clenching. The study's walls seemed to close in, the air thick with the weight of her silence. A year, she admitted, barely audible. Maybe more. The confession landed like a punch, stealing my breath. A year. More. While I'd been working, planning, loving her, she'd been building a secret life. The late nights, the excuses, the distance, it wasn't just stress. It was him. Why didn't you tell me? I demanded, my voice raw. Why let me believe it was my fault? The question tore at me, exposing the doubt I'd buried. Had I driven her to this? Was I so blind, so consumed? That I'd pushed her into someone else's arms? She looked up, tears streaking her face. I tried. I wanted to. But you were always so certain. So focused. I didn't know how to reach you. Her words twisted the knife, blending truth with manipulation. I remembered the nights I'd come home late, her silence greeting me. Had she been trying, or was this another lie to soften the blow? The room spun, memories colliding with her confession. I saw us at our wedding, her smile bright as sunlight. I saw her packing her bags, her face closed off unreadable. I saw the courtroom, her voice branding me. And now, here she was, begging for forgiveness in the house I'd built from the ashes she'd left behind. The irony burned. "I'm sorry," she said, standing, reaching for my hand. I pulled away, her touch like fire. "I want to make this right. I want us." I laughed, a bitter sound that startled us both. "Us? There is no us, Sarah. You made sure of that." Her face crumpled, but I couldn't stop. "You didn't just cheat. You destroyed me. You told the world I was nothing. And now you're here, what? Because you saw the house? The cars? The life I built without you." Her silence was answer enough. The room felt suffocating, the walls echoing with her betrayal and my own buried pain. I wanted to hate her, to cast her out and be done. But a part of me, the part that still loved her, wavered. What if she was telling the truth? What if we could rebuild? The thought was a poison, tempting and deadly. "Get out," I said, my voice low but final. She froze, her eyes searching mine, looking for a crack in my resolve. She wouldn't find one. Not tonight. She left without another word, her silhouette fading into the night as the door closed behind her. The house felt too big, too quiet, the echoes of our conversation lingering like smoke. I poured a whiskey, the glass cold against my palm, and stood by the window, watching the ocean churn under a moonless sky. Her confession should have freed me, but it didn't. It left me hollow, grappling with questions I couldn't answer. Why had she come back? What did she want? And why, after everything, did I still feel her pull? The next morning, I found an envelope slipped under the door. No name, no address, just my initials scrawled in her familiar handwriting. Inside was a letter, her words sprawling across the page like a confession she couldn't voice. "James, I lied in court because I was scared. Scared of what I'd done, of who I'd become. Mark wasn't just a mistake, he was an escape. But it's over, and I see now what I lost. You don't have to forgive me, but please, let me try to make it right." I read it twice, then burned it in the fireplace, watching the paper curl and blacken. Her words were a lifeline, but I didn't trust them. Not anymore. Yet they stirred something. Doubt, hope, anger, all tangled together. I needed answers, not just her version of the truth. So I dug deeper. I hired a private investigator, a quiet man with tired eyes who asked no questions. Within a week, he had a file. Mark was no colleague. He was her boss, a married man with a reputation for charm and indiscretion. Their affair had started 2 years before the divorce, hidden behind late-night meetings and business trips. The investigator found texts, photos, even a hotel booking for the night. She told me she was visiting her sister. The evidence was a landslide, burying any lingering hope that she'd been truthful. But there was more. Sarah had been let go from her job 6 months ago, her savings drained by legal fees and a lifestyle she couldn't sustain. Mark had cut her off, his wife's suspicions forcing him to choose. The investigator's final note was a gut punch. Sarah had been asking about me, tracking my success through mutual contacts, showing up at places she knew I'd be. Her visit wasn't remorse, it was calculation. I sat with that truth for days, the mansion's walls closing in despite their grandeur. The ocean outside roared, mirroring the storm in my chest. I wanted to confront her, to throw her lies in her face, but what would it change? She'd already taken enough. So I focused on what I could control. My work, my life, the man I'd become. The startup thrived, my name now a whisper in boardrooms rather than a punchline. But at night, alone, her face haunted me, her voice whispering through the cracks of my resolve. A month later, she called. I let it go to voicemail, her voice trembling through the speaker. "James, please. I know you're angry, but I need to see you. There's something I haven't told you." The desperation in her tone was new, raw, and it stirred the old ache. Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet her. At a cafe, neutral ground, where the past couldn't ambush me. She looked smaller in the daylight, her eyes shadowed, her confidence frayed. "I'm pregnant," she said, before I could even sit down. The words hit like a freight train, stopping time. "It's Mark's. He won't acknowledge it. I have nothing, James. No job, no money. I thought maybe you could help." The cafe buzzed around us. Clinking cups, soft laughter, the hiss of the espresso machine. But I heard nothing, saw nothing, except her. Pregnant. With his child. And she'd come to me. The man she'd discarded, expecting what? Charity? Redemption? My hands shook, rage and pity warring inside me. I wanted to scream, to walk away, but her eyes held me, pleading, broken and still so familiar. "Why me?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "After everything, why come to me?" She looked away, her fingers tracing the rim of her coffee cup. "Because you're good, James. Better than me. Better than him. I thought, maybe you'd understand." I didn't understand. Not her choices, not her lies, not the way my heart still ached for the woman she used to be. But I saw her clearly now. Not as the villain or the victim, but as a woman who'd lost herself long before she lost me. Her betrayal had shattered me, but it had also freed me, forcing me to rebuild stronger. I wasn't her savior, and I wouldn't be her crutch. "I can't," I said, standing. "I'm sorry, Sarah, but this isn't my burden." Her face crumpled, but she didn't argue. Maybe she'd known it would end this way. I left her there, the cafe's warmth fading as I stepped into the cold. The drive back to the mansion was quiet, the ocean stretching endless beside me. For the first time in years, I felt lighter, unmoored from her shadow. The betrayal still stung, but it no longer defined me. I'd built this life, stone by stone, code by code, and it was mine. Not hers. Not ours. Mine. As I pulled into the driveway, the house glowed against the dusk, a beacon of everything I'd reclaimed. I didn't look back.